His music defined so many classics.
Mi fa un po' strano dire che io a 6 anni ho cominciato a comporre. Villeggiatura, io mi mettevo a scrivere delle cose.
This time also saw the start of an enduring partnership. Morricone's on the right, on the left, a boy called Sergio Leone. As an adult, he'd direct the spaghetti westerns that Morricone would provide the music for.
Uno, due.
He was prolific, composing over 500 scores for film and TV. His theme for BBC drama The Life and Times of David Lloyd George became an unlikely chart hit. In the 1980s, he cut down on work but was tempted back. His score for The Mission combined Jesuit music, native music and oboe. Music was Morricone's life, and reflecting that, perhaps his most personal score was for Cinema Paradiso. The story of a man whose passion for film began as a young boy. Morricone's own love affair with cinema was one that lasted a lifetime.
Let's have a word with Lisa now, who's at home. My colleague just made a really good point to me. We all know this music, but we perhaps didn't know much about the man.
Absolutely. One of those where the music spoke for itself and actually almost defined his persona. He was somebody who, as I said in that report, had a lifelong affair with music and music for cinema, in particular, starting off with meeting the Sergio Leone when they were both at primary school. He was somebody that liked his music to speak for him. And if you look at film music in itself, there are a couple of things it tends to want to do. It either wants to counterpoint the emotion in a particular scene, or it wants to enhance the music in a particular scene, and he was absolutely wonderful at doing both those things. If you look at, it's so hard to decide what his most famous scores are. If you look at something like the Good, the Bad and the Ugly trilogy, those are so sparse of dialogue, so little in there. It's all about imagery and music. And he liked to use the music in a way that people hadn't heard before. You had all these weird sounds. He didn't use traditional instrumentation a lot of the time, but used it to underscore the incredible tension and music in those wonderful, what came to be called spaghetti westerns. And that's why Sergio Leone returned to him so many times. And then, of course, it was partly that, but also the huge body of his work that made more modern people in cinema, the likes of Quentin Tarantino, really want to work with him. He scored many of Quentin Tarantino's films, Inglourious, Django Unchained, and of course he finally won a competitive Oscar for one of his final scores, The Hateful Eight. And Tarantino, again, somebody who, as all film directors say they know what they want, Quentin Tarantino is very forceful about what he wants in his particular movies, and they worked well together. They knew exactly how they wanted the music to feel, how they wanted it to enhance, how they wanted it to move the audience without overwhelming what was going on. He also had that skill that so few composers had. He could do the music for and not great film, and really his score would absolutely enhance it wonderfully. And that is something that, of course, in Hollywood particular, people are very, very keen to have on board, because if you've got a fantastic master composer doing your work, it can actually underscore, it can actually push aside some of the film's more obvious flaws.
How many films behind you in your film library do you reckon feature his music?
Oh, well, that's actually a cheat. This is actually my TV library. So all the films are in another part of. I mean, but how many in there? Oh, I mean, he wrote over 500 scores in his lifetime. Probably. There's a good probably 20, 25 of the films I have, will have scores by him. But especially the ones from the last few decades, they will almost all have scores which are in some way influenced by the kind of work he did. Composers that came after him saw what he did with the imagery, with the music, and thought, actually, yes, that's the kind of thing I want to do with my kind of film. Even if it was a different style of film, a different kind of emotion, just the principles of what Ennio Morricone did with those is what people are looking for so many times. And of course, as you say, he's one of those people who you think, oh, I don't really know that much of the things that he wrote. And then, oh, I know that. Oh, I know. He actually had, a chart hit with Ki Mai from a TV series, and he's just one of those people who it's hard to overstate the influence he's had on film and television over the last half century.
Thanks, Lizo. Thank you very much.